Hi. What a year this has been. I wanted to just catch up with everybody pre-Christmas because I wanted to run through something that's really important to me and hopefully might be maybe at the end of this important to you as well. I don't know. I sit and drone on every single January about goal setting, and it's one of the things that I guess I've now become a little bit known for, primarily because I still have not yet not met a goal that I've set for myself. We're still running strong. Next year could be the year, you guys. Next year could be the year. But for the moment, we're actually still running on this 100% success rate for goals. And the way that I set my goals is super specific. It's a little bit OTT, I guess, for some people, but proof's in the pudding. It freaking works. So I don't want to run through, essentially, how great my year's been. It's not been super positive in all cases. It's been mostly positive in some cases. And in some goals situations, it was rocky at times. In terms of our goals, my goals specifically from 2023, I did do goal setting. So everybody, especially our members in the membership, followed one of my goals all the way through. The good, the bad, and the really bad. The really ugly, I guess, in that respect. But I wanted to just touch on a few of them. There's one more that is not something that I can share just yet, but it's something that we've been working towards, and that I guess will come to fruition whenever it does come to fruition. But at the moment, I want to go through 4. So I set 5, I've got 4 that we're going through here. And I wanted to just run through them as a recap because I think that they're good examples of exactly what you're capable of, really, as every individual person. Because when you think about goal setting and you think about setting New Year's resolutions and all of that shebang, New Year's resolutions tend to be things that nobody actually follows through on. Some people do, but some people don't. And the main reason for that is a complete lack of self-discipline and also a complete lack of structure and a complete lack of a support system, right? So lack of accountability, lack of self-discipline, usually sometimes unrealistic expectations, and generally a lack of a plan. So that's one thing that the way I set goals kind of avoids. But when we look at the goals that I set in January of this year and we look through them, I think there's one in particular that's been really, really, really hard to achieve, partly because it had a direct impact on the business, right? And also partly because it was not particularly well set. And we knew this from the start. We knew it was the weakest one because it wasn't really smart. It was just a statement. So I thought we'd start with the first one and just run through the goals that I have managed to achieve this year and exactly kind of how that came about. Partly because they were set well. So we did really, really, really good goal setting using a well-trained structure that I've created over the last few years. But this one specifically was the one that all of the members followed along with. So the goal, and I will read it because it's on this screen, says place, and I was specific there with a first, second, or a third. Yeah, place first or third at preliminary level, prelim level British dressage by the 31st of December 2023. And that was the first goal, right? So place in a prelim British dressage, so affiliated competition with a horse by the end of December this year. Now, this goal was technically achieved in May, I want to say, well ahead of schedule. And this goal had a very big up and a very big down. And I wanted to improve on the score that we had. It wasn't straightforward. It wasn't a straight line. The horse at the start of the year was not able to go into a dressage competition and do a good job. And neither was I. I'm no dressage rider, right? My background's from going fast and jumping scary stuff, not from riding properly, not from riding correctly, not from riding classically. And there was a few hairy moments, We had, for example, the time that I hit the deck. We had, for example, the time when Tuni was being just a disaster for a fairly substantial set of weeks in a row. We had the time where I was injured. We had the time where Tuni actually had to have surgery. So all of that factored into all of the stuff that we've been working on, and there was a lot more after that. So we set another goal afterwards, which was also achieved, and that one was very scary because it came right down to the line on that one, but we managed to achieve it. So that's goal number 1. Now, why does this matter? Who gives a if Jess gets her goal with a horse, right? Who cares? Nobody does, in all fairness. Actually, truthfully, nobody does. But it's important because I set that goal because it mattered. Yeah? You'll have something that matters just as much to you. Maybe it's getting out of debt. Maybe it's quitting smoking. Maybe it's getting your first client sessions booked with photography. It doesn't matter what it is. You will have something that matters intrinsically, deeply connected to your personal well-being, your self-esteem, your self-worth, and your confidence. You will have something that you knew that now, this year, for example, right now, you're sat watching this and you're thinking, I can't do it. I can't do it because I couldn't do it, because I've never been able to do it. And I guess I'm here to say, yeah, you can. You can do it. And that's why this is important. So it's not the fact that I did the prelim test. Prelim's like nearly the lowest level you can possibly do. It's not like we're reaching lofty heights of the Olympics or Grand Prix. Yeah? It's not about that. It's about why it matters. And it's about when you achieve it, you feel like you've got it. You feel better. Your self-esteem increases. Your confidence increases. You feel like you're more capable as a human being, and you rely less on other people, which leads you to be more independent. It leads you to achieve more successes in the future. And so if you can start small with smaller goals, like a prelim, for example, then anything after that point is possible. Now, the reason why I actually did want to do that prelim test was because I knew if I could get my flat work to the point where I could do a prelim, then I would be able to jump courses better with the horse. Has that happened? Yes. Yes, it has. It's great. It's good. Now, the second goal that I had that I didn't share with anybody at the start of the year was to achieve a fellowship, another fellowship. It would be my second fellowship of my photographic career. And I went straight in with the deep end and hit straight for the societies. And I wanted to get my societies fellowship. And now, when I set this goal, I had already booked in to do this, but I didn't have a panel. Like, I just didn't have the images ready. It was January. The prints had to go to print at the end of February, so it was super tight for this one. Now, I hedged my bets and felt, if I don't get this, I'll submit. Also, I'll hold the space for another fellowship out in October, November time. And then at least if I failed this one, I wouldn't fail my entire goal because I'd have a second chance. I'd have a second stab at it. And I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified going into this. It was a long and painful process. It was hard. I did something I've never done before. I did techniques I'd never seen before. I just maybe went a little bit too far, too quick. However, this goal was achieved in March because I did get my society's fellowship. So I'd already checked that off the list and I already had my second one waiting. So I submitted the same panel again for that fellowship and achieved that as well. So I ended the year with not one but two fellowships and that goal achieved. Perfect. Again, who gives a crap? Who cares that Jess got another fellowship? Well, nobody. Maybe the trolls on the internet might back down a little bit, maybe, probably not. But the main reason, again, is because it means that I had validation. I had validation from somebody else, which I needed, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. I'm not afraid to admit that, and I don't feel bad to admit that because it's just the damn truth. I can't do training with other trainers as a trainer. I can't do that. I can't do weird and different things all of the time because I have to create the same content that most people found me for in the first place. So my only real chance of doing something remotely interesting and different for me personally, stuff that I've not done all of the time in the past, is to do qualifications or competition. Hence why I do them. And I'm fiercely competitive. It's a problem that I have. But I did it. I got the fellowship, nailed it. Second goal complete. The reason being, it mattered. The third thing that was on the list was a business goal, and they didn't know about it at all, and this is probably the first time they'll hear about it. But the third thing was to become an official brand ambassador of Digital Lab. That was my third goal. That, again, nobody knew about this goal, and we've been working for this. I've been working for this for a couple of years. I really love the products. You guys saw this one being made. I love the products. They've helped me with my competition prints for years now, and I rely on them a lot to support me and also to provide images and products for my clients. So this was one that I knew I really wanted, and I knew it was really hard to get. And this year, I got the official invite. So, yay. Third goal achieved. Why does this matter? Again, because of how it makes me feel. It doesn't really matter to anybody else. It matters because I did it. And that means that if I can do this, what else can I do? Yeah? Hopefully you're getting the train of thought here. Now, the goal that I can talk about now, but is the worst one, was because it wasn't set well, because it couldn't be. And this was to schedule work for no more than 5 hours per day, 4 days per week. Now, because of how much of a direct impact this would have with business, knowing that I usually work over 12 hours a day, we had to put some caveats in on this for me and also the team to make sure that this didn't happen. And so the caveats I have on a different spreadsheet over here, these were written in, I think, February to provide some framework. Included and cannot be over the limit: all client work, all filming, all client photo shoots, all copywriting, all client calls. Excluded but can be over the limit, but there's recovery time required because this was a health related goal. This was international travel with the required time afterwards, the national travel for speaking engagements and the required travel afterwards, and images for shooting with awards purposes. If it cannot fit into 5 hours a day, half day for recovery afterwards. Was this goal achieved? If we weigh up the entire year as a comparison of this year versus last year, yes. If we weigh up this year versus 2020 as an example, then hell yes. 2020 I was working 16 to 18 hour days every single day of the week, 0 weekends. They don't exist. Do weekends exist now? No. Studio Bootcamp has put a spanner in this one, but in all fairness, every single thing I've done this year, barring probably 2 or 3 days, are things that I genuinely was lit up by. Things I really wanted to do. None of it was mundane stuff that destroyed my soul, which would be more attributed to the previous years. And what that's allowed me to do is it's allowed me to feel differently about my days. It's allowed me to think differently and think more creatively and think more positively, which has in turn also put me in a better state mentally, which means that if I can couple all of that with all of the other bits about my self-esteem and my self-worth in there, my confidence, it's left me in a completely different place as a person than I was at the start of this year. And that's something that I don't think, I didn't think I would ever say that. This year's been transformative for me, and you'll see a lot of other changes happening coming soon as well. Changes in how I feel about myself and how that impacts what I'm doing, because I'm putting much less of a mountain of importance on what everybody else thinks and just doing with what feels right for me. And so the reason why I wanted to put this video out right now, and the reason why I'm putting this out on blooming YouTube in the first place and not in the safety of our membership, is because it's important. You don't have to be part of our inner community to get the benefit from goal setting and setting your goals for next year. We will do a goal setting video. I will help you through this process. I'll tell you everything you need to know to achieve your goals, whatever they might be. They could be financial goals. They could be an income goal. They could be personal goals, health goals, professional goals. It doesn't matter what they are. What I want you to start to do is just think a little bit about what would change your life. What's doable remotely, just a little bit, that could change your life. And then we'll start to look at that in January moving forwards with goal setting. I've got a wrap-up video that I think I ought to do. So I'll release that at the end of this month, at the end of December. But looking forwards into the first week of January, just be ready with some ideas of what might actually change your life. And then hopefully we can do some goal setting together and we can make some transformations that don't just affect me, but actually affect everybody that does it too. Because I know from the members who did do this last year that their lives have also changed beyond recognition for what they started with at the start of January. It's not a load of hype. It's not a load of hot air. It's not a load of useless words that you stick on a piece of paper. If you actually commit and you actually do it, you can achieve absolutely anything. And it would be really good to see you come along for the ride. So, yeah, I'm happy with where this year's ended. There's some things I'd like to change for next year. I've got some new goals in my brain. And I'll see you next week for another video.